this ever happen to you? An unsigned rapper or singer who isn't at all famous wants beats from you, but instead of paying you for the beat, they want you to give them the beat in exchange for royalties. Now understand this, if an artist pays up front for your beat, you're still entitled to royalties, both sales royalties and performance royalties. So don't let them finesse you into thinking it's either one or the other. Now the artist offering you this horrible deal likely doesn't understand how royalties work and lives in a fantasy world themselves, so you can't blame them too much. They likely don't even know the difference between the various types of royalties, and there are many. Now as a producer, when you sell a beat, you generally get royalty points, but it's recoupable against your advance, which was effectively a loan. And then there are also performance royalties, which I'm going to be focusing on in this video. And yeah, there are mechanical royalties as well and some other types, and many of you watching this right now probably think mechanical royalties and royalty points are the same. This is something to research because it's confusing and complicated, and it's good to get into the habit of researching topics in your career field. Now, performance royalties are the royalties paid out through performance rights organizations such as ASCAP and BMI. And they're generated through any type of public performance, most notably radio play. A lot of rappers and singers think for every spin their song gets, they'll get paid a substantial amount. And not all radio stations pay performance royalties, and their rates differ a lot. Sometimes spins don't even get counted, so there are a lot of variables when it comes to performance royalties. And getting terrestrial commercial radio play isn't easy. Radio stations are owned by parent companies. Generally, when I used to work in radio, I heard the number 400. You'll need 400 plays a week total to even make an impact in radio. That kind of campaign would take a huge investment. I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars. Some of those campaigns that people were doing in radio running $50,000 minimum. And if these artists had that kind of money, they should pay for the beat up front. And if they don't have that kind of money, then most likely the song won't get that amount of radio play. Now let's say somehow, and I don't know how this would happen, but let's say your song ends up on 100 radio stations that play it 4 times a week, right? Get ready to count your performance royalties. How much each play earns depends on the time of day your song is played, the size of the station, and a whole bunch of other factors. At 400 spins, which as I said is beyond difficult to achieve for an unsigned artist without a whole bunch of money to invest, you, the producer, get about $24 if everything works in your favor. Now, of course, this number varies. This is just an estimate. But if you haven't come up with this conclusion on your own, working for the promise of performance royalties with unsigned artists who don't get tons of radio play probably isn't a smart move. Now, if you produce a single for an international superstar such as Rihanna, the $10,000 beat advance her label pays you will be nothing compared to the publishing deals and sync licenses you'll be offered, because she is getting an obscene amount of radio play, as we know. But if you produce a single for an artist with 100 total SoundCloud plays, the $200 advance you get up front will 99% of the time be all you'll ever get from that situation. And worse yet, a lot of recording artists aren't even members of a performance rights organization. So they don't even know how to properly register a song such that they're generating performance royalties should their song ever be played on radio or TV. So my advice is set a price for your beats that you're comfortable with and stand firmly on it. I'm not saying don't be flexible, but I'm also not saying don't sell yourself short. Now, conceivably, you may end up in a situation in which an artist is offering you a fair split, and that artist actually has a history of selling copies of his or her music. 30 to 50% of the sales from an entire project that sells 1,000 copies is more valuable than getting $100 to $300 up front for the beat. But base that decision on verifiable numbers, not just on the word of somebody trying to get something for free out of you. And when you're not making and selling beats, take some time to research the different types of royalties and income streams for producers so that you'll know what your options are, you'll know what you're entitled to, and that way you won't be taken advantage of. Peace.